Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. Today, Jon Jones is on the show to discuss UFC 214 and why he thinks he's the best fighter of all time, plus the latest from Mayweather-McGregor and reaction to Kyrie Irving's reported trade request. Skip, Shannon, let's debate. Good morning, guys. Hope you all had a good weekend. Jon Jones will be here live in studio later in the show, but let's start with some huge news from Cleveland. ESPN is reporting that Kyrie Irving has requested a trade from the Cavs. The trade request was made over a week ago, with Kyrie reportedly no longer wanting to play alongside LeBron James. LeBron was reportedly blindsided and disappointed by the trade request. Kyrie also reportedly named 4 teams he wants to play for: the Spurs, the Heat, Timberwolves, or Knicks. Shannon, are you surprised that Kyrie wants out of Cleveland?
I'm not completely surprised. I'm a little surprised for the simple fact, if you remember what he said, Skip, after the Game 5 loss, he said how amazing LeBron James was. The guy averaged a darn triple-double. He said, I would be foolish not to want to play with this guy and learn as much as I possibly could. But I think here's what happened, Skip, and just bear with me for a little bit. Skip, I look at Kyrie as an untouchable. He and LeBron James should be the only 2 guys on that roster that everybody should know their hands are off. But it came out that he was mentioned in a trade for Paul George, maybe even mentioned in a trade for Jimmy Butler. So he's saying, hold on, I'm supposed to be an untouchable guy. And you're trying to tell me, Dan Gilbert, you think you would have a better chance of beating the Golden State Warriors with Paul George or Jimmy Butler rather than myself? Interesting. He also sees that everybody keeps saying LeBron could possibly leave after this season. So when 2018, the playoffs are over, there's a good chance LeBron could leave. He said, hold on, wait a minute. You mean to tell me you're going to leave and you're going to leave me here with pieces that are really constructed for what you do really well? No. And I think, Skip, at some point in time, Lionel Richie left the Commodores. Michael Jackson left the Jackson 5. The last great guy that was in a boy band and he left and went on his own, Justin Timberlake, after they sold about 3-4 million copies of their last album. He's looking at it like this, Skip. I'm never, ever going to get the credit that I rightfully deserve as long as he's here. They make Batman movies. They make Superman, Wonder Woman. They even got the Black Panther. Tell me the time they've made a movie about Robin by himself. And he wants to be a solo act. And you know why, Skip? I think this has a lot to do with it. Now, he has a championship, but he saw the love and the admiration everybody gave Russell. Russell Westbrook has no chance of winning a title, but he sees the love that's getting heaped on him. There's no question in my mind, if he were to take 24 to 25 shots like Russell did, and he has no one else to defer to, there's no question Kyrie Irving can average 33, 34 points a game. He has that kind of skill set. And Skip, at some point in time, when LeBron keeps wanting to go this place or that place, even though he just doesn't say it verbally, he's saying, I can't win with you guys. Kyrie Irving said, hold on, wait a minute, bro. You might not be telling me that, but that's what you're telling me indirectly. Because if you want to go to the Lakers or you want to go to San Antonio or wherever else you may intend to go, you're telling us, you're telling me, I'm not good enough to help you win a title. And at some point in time, Skip, how many times are you going to keep telling me I'm not good enough before you say, you know what, I am good enough? And maybe Kyrie's trying to get the jump on everybody else. Normally when bad news is about to come out, we've seen this before, bad news is about to come out, what we do, Skip, we'll go ahead and tell you the bad news so we can get ahead of the story. I think this is a situation where Kyrie sees all the writing on the wall, and before he gets left behind, he wants to get out while the door is open.
I disagree with your conclusion, but by the way, speaking of leaving boy bands, Harry Styles is really good in Dunkirk, just for the record. So he's off to the races.
Yeah, it's a good song, too.
You know,
Stop it, Joe.
I like that song.
I don't know his music, but... All right, I'm going to start back from the start.
Okay.
And I'm going to refute some of the things you said. I was not surprised at all because I'm going to remind you, they did clash from the start, from the tip, from the very first moment they were thrown together. And help me out here. Why were they thrown together? Because Kyrie Irving signed a 5-year extension, thinking he was going to be the man as he grew up into manhood in the NBA. He was just a kid at the first, right? 18, 19 in there. And what happened 11 days after he signed that extension? LeBron said, I'm coming home, right? Yep. And trust me, because I have several sources close to Kyrie, he did not love this. But he tried from the start to make it work as best as he could. And I agree with your point about even after Game 5. He kept saying the right things. He was not thinking the right things, though, because he had long heart-to-hearts with LeBron all along this trail. And it was a rough trail for both of them. And I'm not absolving him from any blame here, because he was as much at fault as was LeBron here. And LeBron tried to go out of the way. And just for the record, just this past year, usage rate, just last season, was Kyrie 30.7% of the time he had the ball in his hands, and LeBron 29.8% of the time. So LeBron let him have the ball in his hands slightly more. And for the first time in LeBron's long career in the NBA, he allowed somebody else to take a few more shots than he took. Kyrie averaged 1.5 shots a game more in the regular season than LeBron did. Now, in the postseason, LeBron averaged almost a shot more. Kyrie did not love that, but still, back to the drawing board here. So here's a Kyrie that just got tired over time of deferring to and putting up with LeBron, because LeBron can be pretty tough to put up with, because he can be moody. He has a diva streak in him. As I always tell you, the king has a little bit of drama queen in him. The reporters always call it being passive-aggressive on social media. I just think he's flat-out aggressive. I don't think there's any passive to it. Maybe sometimes it's a little subtle, but I think he's just on the attack constantly. And after a while, Kyrie decided that it's time, because he did average a career-high 25.2 in the regular season, 25.9 in the post. That meant to Kyrie, it's time for him to run his own show. And he looks at his buddies like Damian Lillard and John Wall. They're the center of attention. Maybe he looks to Russell, maybe in a way. I don't think he loves the way Russell plays, but be that as may. You're right. He is the focal point of that offense. Kyrie thinks he's better than all those guys.
Of course.
Kyrie thinks he could carry a team to a championship if he's given the opportunity to do so. So down the stretch of too many games, even though I kept saying Kyrie is the closer, Kyrie is the closer, Kyrie is the closer, he felt like LeBron still had the ball in his hands too often late in games. And it hurt him what happened in Game 3, because as we've talked about, the last minute and a half of that game, there are actually 4 big possessions, and LeBron had 3 of them in his hands late. He took the fadeaway on Iguodala that was woefully short. Then he goes up in the lane. I thought he should have shot the ball, and he kicks it to Korver for the shot. Then Kyrie did get his one shot, but he felt like he wasn't quite in rhythm at that point, and he was woefully short on a step-back three. And then the final possession, Iguodala knocks it out of his hands, and LeBron catches it out of bounds, and the game's basically over.
Correct.
So this is another instance of Kyrie thinking, I want to take all those shots. If it's my team, I'm going to have the ball in my hand. I'm going to make all those plays down the stretch. And in the end, Kyrie didn't like that inference that you talk about. We're top-heavy as you know what, because this is the way Kyrie looks at it. We're really good. Yeah, I'm not chopped liver. Kevin Love's not chopped liver. And the rest of our roster's not chopped liver. So he couldn't understand why LeBron was always complaining about a team that looked like it could pretty easily win the East.
And they did.
And he thought they had a real good shot of winning the whole thing. And they did not. They lost in 5. And then it bothered Kyrie after Game 5 that LeBron didn't seem to take losing that hard. And I brought it right up here. I was the first to say it the next day. Boy, LeBron looked satisfied after that game. He was holding his head high. Why? In part, he was the first player ever to average a triple-double in the NBA Finals. So LeBron can say, I did my part, I protected my brand, and Kyrie is saying, we lost. And Kyrie takes losing very hard, maybe to a fault hard, because he can pout a little bit, he can go into his shell, he can beat himself up.
How hard did he take those first 2 losses when he didn't show up? How hard did he take those?
Hard.
Oh, okay.
And he took the one look, he has a lot of respect for San Antonio, and we'll get into this a little more in a second, but remember what he did at San Antonio 2 years ago,
Yeah.
2 regular season. He had 57, still his career high, and he hit a shot at the end of the regulation that was out of his mind, crazy hot. Here's the shot. If you want to refresh your memory on this, you want to talk about closing, boom. This is when I just said, I can't beat that. You know, like this guy's out of his mind. And then he goes on to score 11 in overtime as obviously Cleveland finally took over and pulled it out. And this year on March 27th, in the midst of that, as I kept telling you, 23-23 finish of the regular season, the last 46 games, they got obliterated at the hands of the Spurs. It was 103-74, and Kyrie went 4 for 13, scored 8, and just felt like he was never really in the rhythm of the offense. And it hurt him because he wanted to impress a coach that he has so much respect for, Greg Popovich. And so now, at the top of his list is Greg Popovich, because he'd like to, again, Kyrie is the flip side of LeBron. He's not looking to join forces to win a championship. He wants to be the guy. And again, San Antonio is not talent-laden. They got one superstar. They just got one.
So now all of a sudden, after Kawhi Leonard has been what, 2-3 straight All-NBA team, first team, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, All-NBA, he's a Finals MVP. He's going to come in and he's going to defer to Kyrie.
I think they'd have a better blend. Listen, Kawhi is far more unselfish and without the basketball than LeBron James is. And Kawhi is easy to live with and deal with and work with. He's just not LeBron. LeBron's got a huge ego.
LeBron is a Mount Rushmore player.
All right. But again, Kyrie, and again, little things would bother Kyrie about LeBron's celebrity within the organization. And ESPN reported this, that Randy Mims, the longtime friend of LeBron, gets to ride on the team charters and has a position in the organization, and it rankled Kyrie. After a while, it just didn't sit well with him. Like, why should he get that preferential treatment and I don't?
Did he ask Dan Gilbert?
Well,
why are you mad at LeBron? LeBron didn't put him. All you have to do is go, Dan, I got a boy. I'm sure Dan Gilbert wouldn't have a problem with having one of Kyrie. He's not going to let everybody come.
Is Tristan going to get one? Is Kevin going to get one?
No. Skip. This is how it worked. I played on a guy with a superstar of superstars. John Elway was our quarterback.
Yep.
And this is what we knew. Every Christmas, okay, when do we want to come? We want to come afternoon or we want to come before noon? We all knew John had 4 kids. If he wanted to wake up with his kids and open presents, guess when we were going to have practice, Skip? If it was okay that his kids were going to sleep in and they could open their presents in the afternoon, guess when we're going to have practice, Skip? Nobody held that against him because we understand. That's what comes along with the territory when you're that guy.
No, but it's a little different in football. Quarterback is so much the most valuable position that if you have a franchise quarterback, he is definitely going to get his way over Kyrie thinking, I'm a co-star, I'm equal with LeBron, and I don't get it. Now, he says he didn't. He also says that Dan Gilbert promised him things along the trail, and I'm not sure exactly what the details were, but that several promises were broken. And then to your point, he had to read about being potentially included in deals, at least shopped a little bit. But that happens to everybody except LeBron James.
Because LeBron has a no trade, and we'll talk about that later, Skip. This is the one thing you know. Covering the games, the sports like you have for all these years, you know great players are very, very demanding. They ask of you a lot of what they ask of themselves. And a lot of time, the reason why great players don't make great coaches is because they can only see things through the lens of being great. And it takes all of that. It takes great, it takes mediocre, and it takes sometimes less than average guys to make a team. LeBron really looks at everybody and thinks everybody should be on his level. Now, he knows Kyrie is the closest thing that he's ever played with. Kyrie is an offensive juggernaut. There's no question in my mind. If he were to take a solo act, he could average 30. There's no question. But, Skip, he's not leading a team to a championship.
Don't tell him that.
Yeah.
But does he deserve the chance to try? Maybe you don't know yet. Maybe you haven't seen him be able to operate by himself.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think he's going to be able to have his boy in San Antonio? No. Like LeBron got his boy Randy Mims? Do you actually think Pat Riley's going to allow that in Miami? because he didn't allow.
Okay, but I think you're missing Kyrie's point. Kyrie's okay not to have his. Right. He just doesn't want LeBron to have his. They should all be treated equal, which is team first, charter first, winning first.
Skip, you know that's not how it works. Let's be real. I don't get all the perks that Skip get. I ain't. Why I ain't got no refrigerator with my name on the door? I got a little refrigerator, got some water in it.
You want a little label?
No, I don't want no label.
Does that make you feel better?
I ain't got no coffee. I ain't got no coffee machine. I ain't got no TV that work. I ain't got no DVD.
I think Diet Mountain Dew sent that to me, if I'm not mistaken. So
they ain't sent me jack.
Okay, well, you don't talk about it.
You don't love that.
But Skip, LeBron is looking at it, Skip. This is not about the East. LeBron is looking at one team. As a matter of fact, the other 29 teams are looking at one team. Skip, it's something when you just think about it. You're gearing up. Now, everybody in the East, they're looking at Cleveland. Cleveland's looking at Golden State. Everybody in the West is looking at Golden State. So basically, you have one conference, they're looking at one team, while everybody in that other conference is looking at one team, but everybody else in the NBA is looking at that team also.
Okay.
Everybody's trying to pair players in order to take this team down, and that's the Golden State Warriors.
Okay.
I believe that LeBron and Kyrie needs to get in a room and they need to sit down and talk and say, bro.
I think they've tried this many times, but keep going.
What's the problem? He takes more shots in the regular season. It's just LeBron is more efficient. LeBron is going to the basket. LeBron is not going to shoot as many. A lot of Kyrie stuff is jumper, Skip. That's not what LeBron does. A lot of LeBron points come
in a way they're not a good fit together. And LeBron, Kyrie considers himself a pure point, even though he's obviously a shoot-first point guard, and he doesn't run the point enough.
Now, his favorite player, his hero, next to his father, is one Kobe Bryant. Now, Kobe said he made a big mistake by breaking the thing up. Now, maybe he's saying that publicly, and he's telling Kyrie Irving something.
Trust me on this. I heard from a very good source who knows Kobe very well that Kobe has been in Kyrie's ear about you should become your own man. You should find your own place where you can start your own legacy. So that's Kobe. See, Kobe said, at least I won without Shaq. He proved with Pau Gasol that he could win, right?
And the thing is, Skip, it takes a special person to be great, play alongside alongside another great player and not one out. Because think about it, when Magic arrived, Kareem had already won 5 MVPs. It wasn't until the '87 season, if you remember the 30 for 30 documentary, that Pat Riley said, "Hey, Buck, I want you to take over."
He did.
Because he could have said, I can never be what I really want to be as long as Kareem was here. Okay. Imagine if Kevin McHale and Robert Perry said, "Man, look here. Yeah, we winning titles, but Bird getting all the credit."
Okay,
it takes a really special person to be able to swallow that, Skip.
I got it. But remember, look at Kyrie's wish list. Other than the Spurs at #1, the Timberwolves and the Knicks and the Heat didn't even make the playoffs last year. So it's not like I want to join forces with. So he just wants to be his own guy.
Yeah, hold on. If I'm not mistaken, they got a guy that's 21 years of age in Karl Anthony Towns.
Okay, they do now, 25. But what have they proven? What have they proven together? You're hot on them. I'm not that hot on them.
I'll tell you what, he should have just put the Knicks. You make it seem Hassan Whiteside is a top 5 big man in all the NBA.
They did not make the playoffs.
They have Kristaps Porzingis. It's not like they have no one there.
But what if that's his favorite team because he grew up with the Knicks, obviously.
When the NBA said if you're starting a team with guys 25 and under, it was Karl Anthony Towns went #1, Anthony Davis went #2. So you make it seem like they got Andrew Wiggins, they got Jimmy Butler.
Now they're going to have to give up a bunch of that to get Kyrie.
Yeah, y'all, hey, do them just like they did y'all when y'all wanted Kevin Love. They gave you the 2 first #1 overall draft picks and some more. So we want Wiggins back in return, we want Teague back, and we want 2 first-rounders. Or we will take Karl Anthony Towns.
Need all of the above, because I'm saying good luck, LeBron James, to that.
Hey, I tell you what, now if you want to swap it straight up, we'll take Karl Anthony Towns, we'll give you Kyrie.
Well, now that Kyrie's going to San Antonio, guess what? LeBron can't go to San Antonio.
We don't want to go there.
You just one-upped him.
We don't want to go there.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Kyrie has earned the right, Skip. He has earned the right. He's shown that he can play. But we'll see if his style is conducive for winning a championship. Because ask Russell Westbrook how that worked out.
Again, I don't think Kyrie and Russell are the same guy, but we'll see. But here's my bottom line conclusion. You talked about Kyrie saying, well, hey, if LeBron's going to leave, I'm going to beat him to the punch. just remember, there's a big part of Kyrie that fears LeBron will stay his whole way, you know, that he'll finish his career in Cleveland, and Kyrie doesn't want to get stuck with that. Okay?
Hey, do you?
Hey.
Do
you?
I don't care what Kyrie does. He's never going to be Mount Rushmore like Bron. So he can do all he can do. But the best point guard ever is going to be Magic. And then Big O will have something to say.
Sounds like Kyrie is off your bandwagon.
No, Kyrie, do you, Kyrie?
You're going to have to eat all of it if he ends up staying.
But me and Bron.
All of this is just so, you know, it's so surprising that this has turned out this way.
Yeah, Joy, start with the passive aggressiveness. I know what you're trying to do.
It's shocking. It's shocking that it's come down.
He left the Heat. Joy, it's been a long time.
I'm just saying it. You know why he left the Heat? And that's,
we left because we got tired.
Sometimes it's better to put the organization over an individual player.
That's true. And there's some entourage issues with Pat Riley.
Well, y'all got the organization up here, but the titles are down there. Let me know how that work out.
I don't know. See how many more titles come to Cleveland.
No mercy.
Hey guys, before we move on, I wanted to tell you that the Undisputed podcast is brought to you by Barbasol. The biggest thing to happen to Barbasol since shaving cream is also the only thing to happen to Barbasol since shaving cream. Introducing new Barbasol razors. The brand America trusts for a close, comfortable shave now has premium disposable razors. Barbasol's close shave technology on every razor means you get an advanced pivoting head and ultra-thin open flow blades. The Ultra 6 Plus razor also features a 7th blade specifically designed to refine and style tricky areas like under the nose, sideburns, and beard. Visit Barbasol.com and get a $2 savings coupon and see for yourself why Barbasol razors are the #1 new disposable razors out there. You're looking good, America. You're shaving with Barbasol.
No mercy.
Huge news in Cleveland this weekend. ESPN is reporting that Kyrie Irving has requested a trade from the Cavs. The trade request was made over a week ago, with Kyrie reportedly no longer wanting to play alongside LeBron James. We're joined by NBA champ and former teammate of LeBron's, Eddie House. Eddie, welcome back.
Welcome
Good
back.
morning. Thank you for having me back.
Are you surprised that Kyrie wants out of Cleveland?
Yeah, I'm surprised. The reason I'm surprised is there's nowhere else he can win a championship. It's especially out of these four, except the Spurs, possibly. But he's not a Spur. You talk about it all the time. You have to be a certain type of guy. We talked about Rudy Gay, LaMarcus Aldridge. He's not a Spur. He's not the guy that fits in your criteria to be a Spur.
Remember, early on, they didn't think Tony Parker was a Spur, and he figured it out. But go ahead.
But Kyrie is a score-first point guard, and I don't think that fits into the system that Popovich has in place and R.C. Buford have in place. Just real surprised because there's nowhere else that you can win a championship. And the way that this rivalry has been building, Cavs, Warriors, it looks like it's going to be a 4th straight year. And you want to come back and try to get some redemption. You know you didn't have the greatest of finals, and you'll have another chance at it. So I'm blindsided like LeBron is. I'm really, really surprised. I mean, Minnesota, if they're able to keep Wiggins, somehow trade Teague and keep Wiggins and Butler and Anthony Towns, they can make a little noise too, but I still don't think they'll get over the hump of the Warriors. So definitely surprised.
Remember, you have to give up a lot to get Kyrie.
You giving up, you giving up Wiggins, Wiggins and some draft picks.
Well, hey, if Wiggins goes to the Cavs,
Anthony Towns.
If Wiggins goes to the Cavs,
Yeah, you're wooing over there. You're going to be left out in the cold with LeBron and nobody.
Yeah, but I think the thing is, Eddie, this is what I'm thinking. I'm a little surprised, especially after what he said after Game 5, how well he thought LeBron played and how foolish he would be if he gave all that up and not learned from one of the arguably best. And he said Kobe told him that he wished he could have done things differently and worked it out with Shaq. I think the difference is Kobe saw Shaq not dedicating his entire self to the game of basketball, and that rubbed Kobe the wrong way. I don't think Kyrie ever has to worry about LeBron not devoting himself to the game of basketball, but I think him hearing his name brought up in trade requests with the Paul Georges or the Jimmy Butler, because Dan Gilbert is telling him, I stand a better chance of winning a championship with those guys than I do with you. He also thinking that, well, maybe if LeBron leaves, I'm going to be stuck in Cleveland with guys that fit his skill set, not what I do particularly well. And after all, some of the great, Teddy Pendergrass left Harold Melvin in the Blue Notes. He got tired of singing back up. They don't make movies about Robin. They only make movies about superheroes, the Batman, the Superman, the Black Panther, the Captain America. He doesn't see himself as Robin. Everybody says LeBron's sidekick, LeBron's co. he wants to be his own act. He wants to be a solo. He wants other people to open for him. He wants to be the headliner. So I'm a little surprised because of what he said, Skip, but I don't have a problem with it. He's a phenomenal talent. He can score with anybody in the NBA. He can finish at the rim. Nobody has handles like he has. Mm-hmm. And so if he wants to go it alone and believe he can bring a title, I wish him all the best. But I think the best chance for him to get that other title is with 23.
Mm-hmm. I applaud what Kyrie is trying to pull off here.
Yeah, you want it.
He is tired of deferring to and putting up with all things LeBron James. And I'm going to remind both of you, in the beginning, he did not want to play with LeBron. LeBron forced himself on Kyrie because Kyrie had just committed to the Cavaliers 5 long years on his extension. And 11 days later, boom, the sky falls and LeBron comes home.
Can I ask you one question? Okay, the Cleveland says, what team, if LeBron James is a free agent at the age of 28 years of age, says, no, we don't want you on our team? Name the other 29 teams that says no.
I got you on that. Not one. But that still says a lot about Kyrie Irving because, again, he was just a kid in the NBA at that point. Now he feels like he's become a man. Mm-hmm. And he averaged a career high 25, 26 a game, both in the regular season and the playoffs. And the point is that he just wants to go it alone. So he's not looking to say, I want to go to Golden State or I want to team up with or join forces with. He wants to be the guy. He's even put the Knicks on his list because he wouldn't mind going, that was his sort of home area team growing up. He'd be the guy on the Knicks.
But he'd be Russell Westbrook in Oklahoma City.
You say that, but he doesn't want to hear that. He believes he could be that guy.
Well, when he was in Cleveland before LeBron got there, how many
they were terrible.
That's all I'm trying to say.
Okay, remember, 18, 19, 20. You know how hard it is in this league. And all of a sudden, now he thinks he grew up. And now he thinks that he could carry a team because LeBron would not allow him to carry the team through the playoffs. What happened down the stretch of the turnaround game 3? LeBron mostly had the ball in his hands. And it hurts Kyrie because he thought that even after game 5, LeBron doesn't take losing as hard as Kyrie does. That's just his mindset. And he beats himself up just as badly as he beats everybody else up. But remember, after game 5, I was the first one. I sat right here the next morning, and I told you LeBron looked really satisfied after that game because he was the first player ever to average a triple-double in the finals. Kyrie was out of his mind. I know he said the PC thing. He said the right thing after the game about LeBron's performance. But trust me, because I got some sources very close to Kyrie, he's never been quite comfortable playing with LeBron. And finally, he just said, okay, if we're up in the air about where we're headed, if you put me in trade talks and there's a chance he might leave or a chance that he might recommit to Cleveland for 3 more years, do I want part of it? I want out. I want to go start over someplace else. Now, again, would I like to see him try to be a Spur? You may be right about it. Maybe he just doesn't fit. The other problem I have is I have no idea how the Spurs could put together a package because they got a lot of quote-unquote spare parts around Kawhi Leonard, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I have no idea.
Give us Kawhi. We'll give y'all Kyrie.
Yeah.
Never happened.
Yeah, you wish.
Oh, wait.
Well, then,
hold on.
Then you'd really have a Mount Rushmore player, a real one.
Hold on just a second now. He says Kyrie is big enough to take his own team. He's ready to go it alone. Go to the Spurs and really trade Kyrie.
Yeah.
And he can't do it alone. Everybody needs help in this league. Nobody's going to do it by themselves. And if he wants to go to New York, I mean, he's not going to turn the Knicks around by himself. He's going to need a whole bunch of help. If he goes to Minnesota, and like I said, if you keep Wiggins, I mean, you could throw a bunch of Dang in there. You could put some draft picks and try to, whatever you got to do, break the bank to try to keep Wiggins, Butler, and Anthony Towns. I think that is the more attractive place to land than anywhere else. I don't like he just dominates the ball too much to be a Spur. You know, he's going to take away from, LaMarcus is going to need to touch the ball sometime. Rudy Gay going to have to touch the ball.
Would have to be part of this package.
Yeah, he probably going to be part of the package. Remember, and I don't think they want that, though.
You remember Robert Horry was saying, if you become a Spur, you have to suppress who and what you actually are. And that's what you have to do. They're a team concept. Now, and I've said this tells me more about Steph Curry. For him to allow KD and to take over, because it's KD's team now. I mean, they don't want to get into whose team, because when the rubber needed to meet the road, Skip, in Game 5, when Cavs were making that comeback, every time down the court, Kevin Durant touched the ball. Kevin Durant put the nail in the coffin. That basically ended this series. That walk-up three in Game 3.
Right in LeBron's face?
It don't matter whose face it was in.
Yes, it does.
Happened.
Yes,
no,
it did. You know it, and I know it.
It was a 3-point shot.
Right in his kisser.
That's okay. Well, trade us Kawhi. We'll give y'all Kyrie. Kyrie for Kawhi. Y'all got a K? We'll take y'all K.
We'll give you LaMarcus and
Danny
Green.
They don't want none of that.
Yeah, it will.
No,
yeah,
they don't want that. And anyway,
power.
Cleveland talking about Derrick Rose, so they're not looking for Patty Mills. They're talking about Derrick Rose, Cleveland right now. They said they're going to meet today. That's how I read that earlier.
What's LeBron going to do with no help in Cleveland? This is going to be
that's going to be. I think Derrick
sad
Rose
day.
is a good pickup for him, though. It could take him off the ball. That's all LeBron needs to do is not dominate the ball, and he does. Sometimes he did defer to Kyrie. Kyrie is basically the guy. He's a closer. We talked about this. Kyrie is a closer in the team, and I don't know why. Well, whatever it is, Kyrie could be happy with that role, but for whatever reason, he's not. I don't.
Okay, just remember, was Game 3 not the turning point of the finals?
But think about how
Kyrie...
it was,
but it wasn't just LeBron. You got to think about the bad shot J.R. Smith took. You got to think about
had a shot
the not talking in transition defense. It was a bunch of plays. You can't just point to one play. It's a bunch of plays that lead to that.
1:30 left. You're up 4 in your house, King. It's your palace, right? And the ball's in your hand, and he takes a fadeaway on Iguodala that's woefully short. The next time down, he goes up, and I think he's going to shoot it or get fouled and have to go shoot those free throws, and he kicks it to the corner to Kyle Korver. I just didn't love it.
Right play at the wrong time.
Okay, well, you said wrong time.
Yeah.
And then the third time down, Kyrie did take a shot, which he felt like he wasn't in rhythm to take.
He wasn't
and he missed it badly. And then what happened the last time down, you're still within striking distance, and LeBron goes up in the corner, and Iguodala knocks the ball out of his hands, and he catches it out of bounds, and the game's over.
Okay,
right?
what about all those threes that Kyrie missed in Game 3?
Okay.
He missed all of them. What, 0 for 7?
Yeah, was he in rhythm?
I think he was 0 for 7.
What about the shot Kyrie hit to win LeBron a ring in Cleveland? How about that shot?
LeBron called it. He told him on the bench. Did you? Oh no! Now you told me.
He liked to just highlight the bad points of LeBron. Hey, come on, man.
Now we have some revisionist history going on here.
You told me on that shot that he passed to Steve Kerr and he passed to John Paxson.
Well, they had a timeout.
Okay.
Yeah, and they told him in the huddle, they're going to come to me, and they did. Both of them came to him.
On the timeout, you could see LeBron James telling Ty Lue, run the play for Kyrie.
Yeah, because LeBron didn't want to shoot.
Oh, see, there you go.
You know it, and I know it.
He deferred to him.
Yeah.
Deferred, he gave it to him.
He deferred. But mostly, LeBron wanted the ball in his hands this time. And LeBron averages triple-double, and his brand is intact, and he's still up there on Shannon's Mount Rushmore.
Everybody's Mount Rushmore.
They lost in 5 games.
Skip.
Wow.
Skip, here's the thing, Skip. Whether LeBron would have lost in 4 games, 5 games, 6 games, a loss is a loss. And that's what I tell you, Skip. When you walk by the mirror, if you give it everything, you know LeBron, what he devotes to his body, what he devotes to his craft. When you walk by the mirror, you don't cry because you left no stone unturned.
Yep. Okay, but if
it still hurt though.
Oh, it hurt.
It still hurt.
Yeah, it hurt.
How hard you left everything out there, it still hurt.
Under the rug, just what a diva LeBron can be, because we know the king has a little drama queen in it sometimes.
I
think a lot of them are divas.
Yeah. What superstar basketball player didn't have that?
I don't think Kyrie has a lot.
I want you to say Michael. No, Kyrie's not on LeBron's level. Michael, Magic, the Kareems, the Bird. Which one didn't, Skip?
I don't think Michael had any diva.
You need to stop.
He was cold-blooded killer.
He was cold-blooded killer, but he still, you know.
And he got special privileges that Scotty didn't get.
Superstar privileges.
Did he get? Let me ask you a question.
Did he get paid? No.
Skip.
Did he demand? Last year he got paid.
Last year he got paid.
Let me ask you a question. Did he get privileges that Rodman and Pippen and Luke Longley and Bill Cosby, did he get privileges?
I never heard about any. I think he showed up on time as opposed to Des Bryant.
So he got treated just like the other guy.
I believe he did.
No, but there's levels to this,
you need to stop.
There's levels to it.
Well, then why you big timing me? Why I got the small dressing room?
You don't
Get up.
Seriously?
Get up.
Your dressing room is exactly the size of mine. Am I right?
All the dressing rooms are the same
They're
size.
No, it ain't.
They're exactly the same.
Well, then why you got a 4K?
Y'all got a shower in your dressing room?
No.
Colin does.
I know.
Oh,
he's got the
There you go, right there.
Yeah.
See?
Hey, maybe the two of us.
Yeah.
Maybe we
It's
want
levels
to be
to it,
traded.
There's levels to this.
No mercy.
Our next guest will meet Daniel Cormier for the light heavyweight title on Saturday night at UFC 214. Coverage starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on FXX. Jon Jones, welcome to Undisputed.
Hey guys, good to be
morning.
here. Thank you.
So Saturday will be your first fight in about 15 months. How has the long layoff affected you?
I think it's been great for me. It's given me time to just kind of reevaluate myself and my personal life and my career. You know, I've been able to add things to my game that I didn't have before. And I feel totally rejuvenated and just ready to go.
You and DC clearly do not like each other. How does this dislike impact the way you're going to fight in the ring?
I don't think it'll impact my fighting at all. So I've been fighting for 10 years now, 10 years undefeated. And I've fought all different types of athletes, people that I despise and people that I respect tremendously, and it's always been the same outcome. And I believe it'll be the same this time.
How dependent is this fight on your legacy? As you mentioned, you've lost one fight, but it was disqualification, and you were universally regarded as the best pound-for-pound fighter. There was a chance, I mean, it still might be a chance that you're going to go down as the greatest UFC fighter of all time, but in your absence, there's another guy that came into his favorite guy. How does this fight impact your legacy?
Well, I believe that I'm already the greatest fighter of all time. You know, my record speaks for itself. I've beaten 6 Hall of Famers already, and my resume is uncomparable to anybody in our sport. But this fight, it's huge for my legacy. Every fight's huge for my legacy. My legacy is an accumulation of you know,
The years.
of what I do, yeah. So every fight is extremely important. And, you know, I try not to look at one fight as more important than another one. You know, it's just another match. And you just have to focus on what you can do in the ring, well, in training to prepare for that match. And I try not to make things bigger than what it is.
So I watched on Saturday night, the joint satellite interview you did with Cormier on Fox.
Yeah.
Got a little testy, a little heated, but just watching your body language, it didn't come across that you, quote unquote, hate him. It's that you have disdain for him. Like there might even be a lack of respect somewhere operating in there. Is that fair? Give me your thoughts, sort of your feelings about him.
That's fair to say. So my body language in that last interview was, I would say it was like very like stoic, and like I tried to make a conscious effort to not really engage with him because Daniel's a guy who just wants to just nitpick things that have nothing to do with fighting, you know. And at this point, 1 week away from the fight, yeah, you know, you can talk about my past and some of the controversial things I've been a part of, but it plays no effect on what's going to happen on Saturday night, and I know that. So it's just like I'm not going to sit here and back and forth. Oh, you're a punk. Oh no, you're a punk. I just turned 30 years old. You know, I'm a grown man, and the fight's all that really matters. So I have not too much to say to him at this point. I'm going to do all my speaking in the octagon.
He did make one strategic declaration that in the stand-up this time, he's going to, quote unquote, run right through you with his fists, obviously, and that you better be grabbing and holding quickly this time. Your reaction to that strategic statement?
I'm glad to hear him say that. I'm glad that he feels so confident on the feet. My last fight against Ovince St. Prude, a lot of people said it wasn't very impressive after a year layoff. But I did enough to win the fight, and I felt like I really didn't show much. Where he's been extremely active, and I see that he has made almost zero progression in the last 2 years. So I'm glad that he feels he has an upper hand in the striking division.
He also stated that even though you did beat him the one time you met, that then you, to quote him, self-destructed because of the controversies, quote unquote, off the field, and that he goes to bed every night feeling that he is the champion, and he feels very good about that. What does that tell you about his psyche?
Well, I feel like he validated everything I was trying to say. I was telling him that he's not a real champion because he hasn't beaten me. And he said, well, I don't have to be a champion because you pretty much gave me the belt by getting in trouble. And he just validated what I had to say. It's like, I'm saying that you're not a champion because you haven't beat me, and you basically say, yeah, you know, I never beat you, but it's still mine. It's like, yeah, you know, the people at home knows the people that know at home knows, who the real guy is in this division. And I think Daniel looks for ways around trying to, I just think he looks for ways to try to validate himself as a champion. And I think to the true fight fans, they know, whether Jon is an angel or a bad guy or whatever, he's a badass. And until you beat him, I mean, no one, I believe, would really look at him as the baddest dude of this era.
So I'm looking at you, and I'm as an ex-professional athlete. There's no way I believe I could have taken a year off from the NFL and come back and been the same player that I was. You took a year off. I mean, Usain Bolt is the fastest sprinter, but he can't take a year off and come back and pick right up where he left off. Why do you think you're going to be able to do that again?
Well, I've done it once before. My last fight, I took a year off. This time, it's one fight in 2 years. But I think the reason why I know I'm going to win this, the reason why I know I'm going to win this fight is because I have an inner belief that this is my era and this is what I was put on the earth to do. I feel like that I'm gifted, right, and talented and extremely hardworking. But to answer your question, it really just stems from a really deep level of self-belief.
Your brother's Arthur Jones played. He's trying to get picked up. I think he played, 8, 9 years. Your brother Chandler Jones is the pass rushing specialist from the Arizona Cardinals. Obviously, physical contact is not something you shy away from. Why didn't you stick with football?
So I was really, really skinny in high school. I weighed about 170. I was 6'4", and I was a defensive tackle. There was no coaches that were interested in me. I actually didn't even start on the football field until my senior year in high school. I was always third string while my brothers were always team captains. Right. So I had a wrestling coach, a guy named Jack Stanbro. He told me young, around 10th grade, he said, "Jon, you're not going to be a football player." And he said, "I need you to listen to me, dedicate your life to the sport of wrestling, pass your classes, and I can guarantee you I'll get you into college." And that meant everything to me. And I didn't want to be left behind. I knew my brothers were going to make it in the football arena. So I put on the wrestling singlet and became all about it, and now it's led me to a martial arts career.
So there's an upcoming event on August 26th that halfway involves the UFC, McGregor versus Mayweather. I'm sure you have thoughts and insight. You're a bright man.
Thank you. Break
down what you see coming up on August 26th. What chance do you give Conor McGregor?
I want to start by saying that I really admire Conor McGregor a lot. He's done so much for our sport. He's shown me personally that those numbers that he's achieving are possible. So he's been a huge inspiration to me.
There's a but coming, I think.
But, yeah, absolutely. I'm also a fan of greatness, and Floyd Mayweather is unquestionably great. I mean, to go 49-0 is such a special.
Great. 49-0. You heard the man, Skip.
Such a special thing.
He used to be. Yeah.
Used to be.
He's 40.
He's 40, but I mean, I think Floyd takes care of himself. He's an advocate about living a clean life, and you'd be surprised what you can get out of yourself when you live the way Floyd does. He has all the resources to stay healthy and on top of his game. I think what makes this fight interesting is Conor McGregor's punching power, but at the same time, guys like Miguel Cotto and De La Hoya, all these guys have tremendous punching power. But what they have that McGregor doesn't is the years of experience and tightness and to back up that punching power. I've fought so many guys in the UFC who has punching power who are never able to land that shot on me. And like I said, I'm really happy for McGregor to be in this position, but if I were a betting man, I would imagine that you have to just side on the side of greatness.
Have you think, obviously you've been light heavyweight champion for the longest time. Have you thought about moving up or down to get 2 belts? I mean, obviously up would be probably more of a probability and likelihood than moving down.
Right. So unfortunately, at my weight class, I deal with the biggest gap in between weight classes where you'll see a guy like McGregor who, he's a 45-pound champion and a 55-pound champion. Right. For me, I would have to be the 205-pound champion facing the 265-pound champion. Right. And I believe, when you get a really talented big man versus a really talented smaller man.
Big man,
You know what I mean? Yeah. I do believe that I'm a special talent and that it's possible. But I know that it would have to be against the right opponent.
Right.
And so right now, I feel like I have things to prove in my own division.
Right.
And when I feel that I have a good matchup against a talented, smaller heavyweight champion,
right,
then I'll seize the moment.
Well, we're looking forward to your return. Coverage of UFC 214 starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Time Saturday night
This
on
is the
FXX.
baddest man on the planet, Skip. Not 145.
Thanks for joining
Not
us.
155.
I can't fist bump that. I'm sorry. I can't.
Oh, you think Conor McGregor
luck.
can take him?
No.
Okay.
There's a little size discrepancy, just a little bit.
Right, oh, absolutely.
Good
He
luck
took
on
Nate
Saturday.
Diaz, who was
Thanks for joining us.
No mercy.
The Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor mega fight is set for August 26th and has gotten the attention of everyone in the sports world, including Draymond Green. Conor was recently spotted wearing a number 23 Warriors jersey. Draymond Green, who wears 23, responded to Conor wearing the jersey, saying, "We rockin' with Floyd, bro, not you. Take that off, bruh." Conor then said, "That's CJ Watson, mate. I don't know who the bleep you are. No disrespect, though, kid. Keep hustling and stay in school." And Conor added, "Now ask yourself why I'm rocking CJ when I don't know or give a bleep about basketball. I dribble heads off the floor, not a ball. This is no game here, kid." CJ Watson is the former Warrior who allegedly had a relationship with the mother of 3 of Floyd's children. Mayweather served jail time for domestic abuse against the same woman. Draymond then responded to Conor, "Haha, that number won't be worn again when I'm finished with it, clown. Gold medalist, NBA champ, all-star, defensive player of the year, etc. Haha, stop it, boy. Nate Diaz, Bay Area, stand up, whooped you in your ring. Money May about to destroy you. Take that Warrior jersey off, bruh. You're an incredible internet troll. We don't rock with you. Go train, bum."
Whew. Whew.
It's a lot.
Whew.
Skip,
He is something.
who
He
won
is
this trash
something.
talk, Conor or Draymond?
Obviously, Conor won by knockout of Draymond Green, just the way he's going to win this fight, by knockout. Yes, he is. Every day I feel better, but just as I feel worse and worse about my Cowboys, I feel better and better about Conor's chances against Floyd, because Draymond Green basically got punked by Conor McGregor. He stepped right into it, fell right into the trap, and Draymond I have great respect for, because he's the Shannon Sharpe of today's NBA. He's the best trash talker in the league, but you cannot engage in trash talk with the best trash talker in the world. And this was a KO. You could say it's a TKO, but I think it's just a flat-out KO, because more and more Conor is impressing me as a shrewd operator who is just crazy fearless. He doesn't care who Draymond is. He doesn't even care who Floyd Mayweather Jr. is. So to me, this was obviously a premeditated promotional stunt on the part of Conor McGregor,
Correct,
hoping to get the GOAT, so to speak, to get under the skin of number 1, Floyd, and number 2, maybe, if he took the bait, Draymond. And Draymond took the bait. And obviously there's history with Floyd and C.J. Watson, so that's aimed at Floyd. But if Draymond jumps into the fray, here we go. And I got to reread what you read, because it's so funny for him to say, back to Draymond, that's C.J. Watson, mate. I don't know who the blank you are. No disrespect, though, kid. Keep hustling and stay in school. Boom. It's just perfect. He just cut the legs right out from under Draymond Green, because you can't mess with this guy, and Floyd's going to learn on fight night, you better not mess with this guy, because he's thinking as much as he is fighting and acting.
That's Conor's standard line. When he wants to get a quick snap back, he's like, "Who the F are you?" Remember, he turned around in the press conference when someone was talking behind him, and he wheeled around like, "Who the F are you?" Skip, this is trash talking at its finest. This is
So
what
you respect it as a trash talker.
This is what you can do without the derogatory rhetoric, without the racist rhetoric, without the demeaning rhetoric. You can do this. Now, Skip, let me take it here, because I know some people are trying to, well, this is what he's making reference to C.J. Watson, who allegedly had an affair. It did happen. Allegedly had an affair with Mayweather's ex-girlfriend, who's the mother of his 3 kids. In no way, shape, form, or fashion is he condoning what came in the aftermath of Floyd finding out this was going on. He's basically saying, look at this. You making $200-300 million. You got $200-300 million in your bank account. And here's a guy, not LeBron James, not a Steph Curry, not one of the up and ups. She went for a guy that's not even on my level, let alone your level. That's when it hurts, Skip. Oh, Skip. When your people just go get some random guy. I got him up and it hurt. How could you do me? How could you do this to me?
You sound like you speak from painful experience.
No.
Never happened to you.
Let me knock on wood. Hope that don't happen. Woo! Skip, it hurts. Skip. Movie stars normally marry other movie stars. But if you're a movie star, A-list. I ain't talking about no C-list, no C-list movie. The movie goes straight to DVD. I'm talking about one of these big blockbusters, $200 million. And you find out, it's kind of like when J-Lo was married, the next thing she knows she's dating the backup. How Mark Anthony had to feel. I got to get him, Skip. I got to get him. What was the dude's name? The backup dancer. Casper Smart. He was on a flight with me one time. I started to ask her, how you do it?
Well, maybe,
how you get J-Lo?
Maybe he treated her better.
How's she gonna find out she's married?
J-Lo got her own money. Okay?
I don't care.
And plenty of it.
Boy, hey, Skip, this is how you trash talk. You study the individual. You find his weakness. Skip, let me tell you something. There's two things that'll get guys' attention really quick. They money and they woman. Now, and guys don't play with either one of them. Guys, I've seen a lot of guys get in a fight about their money, $5, $10, and they women. And he might not even...
I've seen a lot more over their women, just me.
A lot of wars have been started because of women, Skip. But here's the thing, Skip. A guy might not even want the woman, but the moment another guy shows interest in her, or another guy makes reference to him, put him up. What are you talking about? Hey, they're my people. Skip, that hurt. Ooh, Connor, that's an A+ effort there. Now, Draymond, I don't even think Draymond probably knew that C.J. Watson wore that number before he did. There's no question about
it's pretty clear that Draymond thought that Connor was talking about him.
Exactly. So, Skip, do you know who wore 23 before Michael Jordan in Chicago, or who wore 23 in Cleveland? No, you don't. You just know the guy that's in that number because he's made it more famous.
I just know who wore 23 before LeBron decided to co-opt it. That's all I know.
It was in play. So there are a lot of people that wore 23 that might not be Michael Jordan. But Skip, this is how you do it. You study a guy, take it from a guy that studied this guy, because I was going to start a few things with a few linemen, get Mark in trouble. Yeah, next time Mark come on here, ask him why he go tell the offensive lineman that I was getting him in trouble with the defensive lineman.
Okay.
But Skip, this was A class. Skip. Take it from a guy that knows trash talking. I'm proficient at this. I got a PhD. This is great stuff here, Skip. This is great stuff here. This A1. This A1 here.
So here's what I'm doing. I'm projecting that A1 premeditated, shrewd operator trash talk into the fight. And did you read the quotes from Paulie Malignaggi?
Yeah, Paulie Malignaggi.
Yeah, who had sparred over the weekend with Connor. I told you he was.
So he got a little pop.
And he's got a little pop, but I like the other quotes. He said, let me put it like this. Connor knows what he wants to do, and he has a method of how he wants to get there. The mechanism of how he gets there may look to the naked eye like, I don't know about this, because he's going to look a little awkward. But there's a method to his madness. He's a thinker. So he's developing his own shrewd operator style in the ring, and it's going to be unlike anything Floyd has ever encountered, because it's going to be completely unconventional, unboxing. He's going to do things that boxers are going to say, you can't do that in a ring, right?
Correct.
You just can't do it. And Floyd's going to be looking at him like, this, was crazy. He's just crazy. What's he doing?
And I think that's why Floyd is probably going to spar with some MMA guys, because the way they catch punches, the way they throw punches, the way they circle will be totally different, because when you're an MMA fighter and you're trying to box, there are a lot of things that you have to be on guard for. And so Connor's going to be a little bit unorthodox. But at the end of the day, you still got to throw these CDs. And Floyd can throw these CDs. CDs, Skip, better than anybody.
Those pillows?
Boop, boop, boop.
Seriously?
Man, I got hit down one time with a pillow. That thing hurts up. It caught me off guard, Joy. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, maybe the zipper on it. But there's not going to be any zippers on these pillows.
No mercy.
The Cowboys are opening training camp today in Oxnard, California, but there's already been a ton of drama around the team. Des Bryant was 3 hours late to practice on Friday and missed conditioning drills, but he told the NFL Network he had been battling a sinus infection a day after he had a barbecue for fans in Texas. Then there's Ezekiel Elliott, who could be suspended for his domestic violence allegation last summer. This is all in addition to a handful of defensive players that have been suspended or arrested this offseason. Jerry Jones addressed all the negative stories yesterday. Let's take a listen.
You get the feeling that with this team, that it can handle these adversities, because as sure as I'm sitting here, we're going to have some that we don't even mention here today. We certainly feel that we have our share. Having said that, should not in any way be interpreted as any tolerance for any of those things. We don't have that, and but the big thing is that we know that it does happen. It happens to all clubs, and we're ready to deal with it. It's been my experience that the risk is worth the potential reward. We firsthand, the Cowboys, have had some very serious success with guys that work through things.
Skip, what's your reaction?
Yeah, explain your boy, Skip.
I am still picking my Dallas Cowboys to win the NFC and get to the Super Bowl, but I am not picking them with nearly the conviction I had about a month ago. Fact. Now, back to what Jerry was just talking about. Let me get this out of the way first. Jerry continues to be adamant about the fact that even the NFL investigation has found nothing on Ezekiel Elliott and domestic abuse. And obviously, 2 police departments, one in Columbus, Ohio, one in Fort Lauderdale, investigated and found not enough to charge Ezekiel Elliott in either case, with the same woman accusing him both times. She went public on social media, can't remember which one it was, this weekend, and basically said, talked about how the strength it took to get out of a very toxic relationship.
Correct.
So I have no idea what did or did not happen. I just know that the owner of the Dallas Cowboys continues very publicly to insist, quote unquote, there's nothing there. Okay, so now just as a pure football fan, lifelong Cowboy fan, saw my first game in 1961. If I can just keep it on the football field, maybe that means that the suspension won't be quite as long. But when Jerry was asked, will he get suspended for whatever, Jerry was non-committal. Jerry's very rarely non-committal about anything.
Exactly.
So Jerry is probably anticipating some sort of suspension. ESPN continues to report it's in that 2-game range. I don't know. I guess that's quote-unquote good news, but there wasn't much good news over the weekend, because now let me start with my quote-unquote friend Des Bryant.
No, throw up the X. Throw the X up. You always throw up the X. No,
Just stamp an X on his forehead today.
Just use Skip.
I am so down on Des Bryant. I cannot tell you. This just really stuck in my craw.
I love it.
Because I have I didn't play the way you did, but I've covered a lot of really good teams, and I get what it takes to be a really good team, because the man across from me really, really gets what it takes to be a really good win-it-all kind of a team, and it doesn't take this.
No.
So the night before the first official training camp practice, this one at their facility in Dallas, Des goes down to his hometown of Lufkin, Texas, and he congratulates all the fans and gives back to all the fans with a big barbecue, and that's great. Great PR for him, and I think it was right out of his heart to do this for the people of Lufkin, Texas. And the next day, you got to report to your first practice. And Des is, 3 hours late and says he's sick. You just can't do it. If you are a now 28-year-old going into your 8th season, a veteran team leader, a very good football player who's had some really big moments even in playoff games, because that was a catch. We all know it was a catch.
No.
Yes, we do. But I'm not going to throw up the X this time, because Des Bryant, you cannot do it. If you really think you have a shot to help your team win a Super Bowl, you have to show up on time for the first official camp practice. It's just such a bad message to send. You know how it hits the locker room? It just fractures everybody. Everybody rolls their eyes and says, we all got here. Where's our guy? Who's the biggest personality in that locker room? I'm pretty sure it's 88. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm forgetting somebody, but I think 88's the biggest personality, and it just has such a numbing effect on the whole locker room, a chilling effect. a demoralizing effect, a deflating effect, that it's hard to go forward from that, because that's not how you start to build a Super Bowl run, right?
Correct.
You just all have to show up on time. And then my man, Darren McFadden, I've defended him again and again, even over the last week on this show, because I still think he's got some good football left in him, maybe some very good football left in him.
You better hope so.
He's going on 30 years of age. He's going on his 10th season in the National Football League. He's going on maybe being the starter in game 1, 2, and who knows from there on, right?
Yep.
He's going on being what could be a very valuable piece of the Super Bowl puzzle of this year's Dallas Cowboys. And now it just remains a puzzle, because Darren McFadden misses the team charter to Southern California to their camp in Oxnard. Misses the charter. You can't do that. Super Bowl teams have a unity, as you well know, in which you can't fracture it with one key piece missing the charter. Do the Patriots miss charters? Do you think any Patriot will be late to day 1 of training camp for Newton? Do you think any one of them will?
Man, please.
The people at the bottom of the roster, we can't even name their names. Do you think they're going to be late? No, because they're going to be gone if they're late. They're going to get publicly humiliated by their coach, number 1, and probably their quarterback, number 2, if they're late. It's just how you do business. It's how the Ravens in 2000 did business. It's how the Broncos in 97 and 98 did business. Togetherness, unity. It sounds small, but it's huge. And now it's happened twice in the first weekend. Des Bryant, Darren McFadden, late. You just can't do it. It's a bad early sign. It just turns my stomach is what it does. Because, again, I'm putting my pride on the line. I think they could be really good. I think Dak Prescott has a chance to change the culture. But he can't babysit Dez. He can't call up Darren McFadden and make sure his alarm went off, right? Can he call everybody and say, did your alarm go off today? Dak can't do that.
And nor should he.
No, nor should he. So, bottom line, I'll say it again. I still believe in this team, but not nearly as much as I did about maybe a week ago even.
Skip, Jerry said he wants to no way, in no shape, form, or fashion say that he condones this type of behavior or they don't have rules and regulations. Yet, he's making excuses for this behavior. Skip, they do this, and I've said this before. It's ultimately the guy's responsibility. But when guys fall short, if I know there's no one there to hold me accountable, what's to stop me from having this reoccurring behavior? So I just want to make sure I'm got this correct. I'll make my timeline, my chronological timeline. I like chronological. It sounds good. Okay, the Cowboys lost in the divisional round, which would say, let's just say on the conservative estimate side, that's around January 15th. Give or take a few days. They're going to camp on what, Saturday, Skip? Which was what, the 22nd? So from January the 15th to July 22nd, you couldn't schedule a cookout for your hometown. You couldn't play a kickball tournament before your hometown.
That's a fair point.
So you have a cookout and a kickball tournament the night before you're to report to training camp. So you have 6 months, and you couldn't do that then. But you got a sinus infection, but you weren't too sick not to have the kickball tournament or the cookout. But you know what? Jerry believes it. Jerry says, okay. Darren McFadden, 10 years in the league. You like to see a veteran player that's been in the league this long, but he came from the Raiders. So what do we expect, Skip? We know what Al Davis would tolerate. And you said Jerry wants to be like Al. I call him the Al Davis of the South. You see, Skip, if you allow and he said it.
And by the way, you understand, Jerry has a real soft spot for Darren McFadden because he played at Arkansas, where Jerry played starting offensive guard for a national championship team in 1964. So go ahead.
And he said the risk is worth the reward, Skip.
Yep.
And he said, and I don't know if we got to that point. He mentioned guys like Charles Haley and Michael Irvin. He's talking about Hall of Famers. So you think everybody that gives you a problem in Dallas is going to turn out to be Hall of Famers? That's what Jerry thinks. Jerry actually thinks that you give me a problem, they might turn out with Michael. Michael Irvin would have been the same Michael Irvin had he shown up on time. Charles Haley would have been the exact same Charles Haley as he showed up on if he had showed up on time. And see, what happens is, Skip, when you go there, Jerry, everybody knows Jerry is a player's owner. There have been times, with the exception of Jimmy Johnson,
True.
you could circumvent the head coach and go talk directly to Jerry if you had a problem. Skip, even if they had concrete evidence, and they don't, on Zeke, that he was involved in this act, when have you ever known Jerry Jones to speak out against one of his players, even when they were in the wrong?
Well,
this is what we know about Jerry Jones. The only way he will not put you on the field on Sunday or Monday if you are incarcerated. If you cannot play, you won't play. But if you can play, I don't care what you've done leading up to it or what you do afterwards. Skip, you know Jerry Jones is going to put you in the game. And then I heard Jason Garrett says, you know, we have a standard. We have a standard in which we play, in which we set forth to the player. You ain't got no standard. The standard is if you're breathing and you're not incarcerated, come on, the Cowboys will take you. Skip, this is unacceptable. There's a reason why Dez Bryant does not have that C. Demaryius Thomas got a C on his chest. A.J. Green got a C on his chest. Julio Jones got it. You see where I'm going? Think about it, Skip. Look at the receivers. Now, supposedly, they're divas. But you know what? They show up on time. They do the right things. There's a reason why the Denver Broncos took Demaryius Thomas 2 slots before Dez. Now, Demaryius Thomas was in a run-first offense.
He was.
The only thing that he ran were a post and go. You took a guy. They took a guy over Dez Bryant who would have won the Biletnikoff Award had he not been suspended
for his last year.
All they do is throw the ball in the Big 12.
Yeah.
And they passed on him.
Hey, in his junior year, Dez was sensational. I watched all those games.
Because when you're going to take a guy in the first round,
character.
you do
Character. Okay, so here's how Jerry learned the NFL. Beside Jimmy Johnson, and they picked a lot of outlaws in those early days. So the 92, 93, 94, 95 teams that should have won 4 straight Super Bowls were littered with problem children.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Littered with troubled Dallas Cowboys. 3/5 of the greatest offensive line I ever saw: Mark Tuinei, Nate Newton, Eric Williams.
Big E.
I don't need to go into detail, but big trouble, big trouble,
Bigger trouble.
Okay? 3/5 of the line. And that team was led by one, Michael Irvin. And that team featured Charles Haley and Leon Lett. Big trouble. You don't remember probably Clayton Holmes. Big trouble.
I do.
Okay, so it's everywhere on that team, but Jerry's saying high risk, high reward. But what was the common denominator of that team? It was coached by Jimmy Johnson. How did he motivate? By fear. They were all those outlaws, quote unquote, were scared to death of Jimmy Johnson. Because in 1992, last game of the season, regular season, they're playing Mike Dickens' Chicago Bears at Texas Stadium. And what happened? Curvin Richards, a 4th-round pick who was Emmett's backup and a very valuable piece, sort of a Darren McFadden-like player. He fumbled twice in the second half of what was becoming a blowout, and Chicago sort of crept back into the game. What did Jimmy do after the game? Cut him. You just cut him. Curvin Richards, you can't cut Curvin Richards going into the postseason, your first big potential Super Bowl run. Cut him. What did it do in the locker room? It scared the hell out of everybody.
Yeah.
Literally the hell out of everybody.
Didn't he cut somebody that fell asleep in the meeting in the playoffs? And they asked him, had that been Troy, what would you have done?
Okay,
He said, I woke him up.
Okay, but that's how he, so they were all afraid. They were all dancing along that line, you know, but in the end, they would at least show up on time. Then Barry Switzer took over the next year, and they didn't show up on time because Barry's motto was, obviously he played at Arkansas also, win the game, win the party. That was Barry's motto. And that's what they did win a Super Bowl with Barry because the players loved him, but they took advantage of Barry. So again, if he had Jimmy coaching the team now, I think you could get away with a lot of this because Jimmy, he probably would have cut Darren McFadden for missing the shot.
Oh, absolutely.
He would have.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we always compare it to the Patriots, and obviously we know Belichick doesn't tolerate a whole lot, but he has trouble players too, and somehow they get on the straight and narrow there because of that. But it has a lot to do with Tom Brady. So maybe Dak just needs a little more time.
I think he needs another year to take
the
over.
there.
Yep.
Yeah.
No mercy.
Thanks for checking out the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. We're back tomorrow when special guest Nelly joins us at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.